Welcome to Transformation with Martine. Martine Emmons is a transformational life coach who broke free from childhood abuse, sexual trauma, and overcame cancer to become a powerful force of healing and hope for others. Martine describes traumatic events as fierce emotional tsunamis. They can leave impending doom and destructive tidal waves of emotions that hit you when you least expect it. Martine helps her clients dive into the depths of their trauma and pain as she stands fiercely advocating for them to shine a light on those experiences and find the lesson in the pain. She serves as a beacon of hope that guides you to see the strength, lessons, and purpose that can be born from the pain. You can feel alive with purpose again when you awaken your dormant strength, step into your power with a sense of peace, and discover a new wave of hope with the right tools and support. Martine and her guests are here shining their lights today through empowering stories of hardship and transformation to inspire you to find hope and to see that there is a beautiful blue ocean of serenity, happiness, and fulfillment in your future. Transformation with Martine starts now.
Welcome, everyone, to Transformation with Martine, where we overcome everything and compromise nothing. I'm so excited to be back, especially on Christmas Eve. This is pretty awesome. I hope everybody's having a wonderful holiday so far. So for those of you who don't know, my show is live every Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. And my show is about hope. Each guest that I invite on my show has a story of hope, transformation, resilience. I believe, as most of my guests do, or all my guests do, that we as humans can get back up from anything. I would like to oh my goodness, what is going on with me today? I would like to mention that today, this show is sponsored by my friend and local realtor in Fenton, Michigan, who handles all surrounding areas of Grand Blanc and Fenton and Linden, and he is a fabulous realtor. For all my local friends and local listeners, hit him up. He does a fabulous job, and I'm so privileged and honored that he wanted to sponsor this show. So without further ado, I want to welcome my amazing guest. We are colleagues and friends. Luke Horsted, please do a formal introduction of yourself, please.
Hello. I feel very lucky to be here, Martine. So thank you very much for having me here today. And especially with your show being about hope, it's something, and transformation is something I'm very passionate about because of my story. So I'm a men's transformational coach over in the UK, and I couldn't ever see myself being here because I didn't have hope at one point in my life.
Right.
So would you like me to dive into part of my story?
Absolutely. I just got to say, it's just, to me, it's just so fun. I love men with accents. I love women with accents. I love just listening. So yeah, whatever we talk about is great. I just want to hear it. So yes, please share your story of how you came to where you are now and your message of hope.
Excellent. So yeah, when I left school, I went straight into the construction industry over in the UK. And it's tough enough being a man in the world that we live in. I'm not saying it isn't tough for women. They just have different challenges to men. But being a man in the construction industry is like a level up from that. You have to be tougher than the tough men because you're in the construction industry. So I've spent a long time in the construction industry, and I then went on to setting up my own business. And I wasn't happy. I was okay in life, but I wasn't happy. I'd been through lots of stuff like we all have, but I wasn't living my best life. And then when I'd set my business up, I was running my plumbing and heating business. Then children came along. And the pressure went through the roof. It really, really did. And by nature, I'm a people pleaser. So if you're running a business, especially in construction, you want to keep all of your customers happy. And then children come along and you want to be the best parent as well. And you don't also want to forget about your wife because she's going through a lot at home in the day with the kids. And there was just a lot going on. And on top of that, running a business, I was also chasing money from customers, and it just became a lot. I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't have a network of people that I could talk to about it, because my network in the construction industry would say, get a grip, man up, what's the problem? Just get on with it, have a drink, it'll be fine. And I did have a drink, but it was never fine.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where I was just going around in this cycle for so long, the sleep deprivation, all of this stuff. And I got to a point where I started having suicidal thoughts. And they hadn't been there before, but when the pressure mounted, they were just coming up. I wasn't good enough. I couldn't keep everyone happy. And nothing would ever change. I thought there was no hope. And it got to the point one day where I actually went out, sat in my van, and I knew if I started the engine, I wouldn't be coming home. And I just couldn't even put the key in the ignition. And before I go any further, there's one thing I want to talk about with the suicidal mind. And I didn't know this at the time. And a lot of people don't know this, but the people that actually have suicidal thoughts or take their own lives, they don't want to die. They believe there's no more hope, and they just want to escape the pain that they're feeling. And I know a lot of people that have been suicidal in the past, and people have said to them, well, don't be selfish. What about your poor children and family? And from my experience, what I know, it makes it worse, because the self-punishment is what they want to get away from. So to enforce even more of that is only going to intensify the situation. So I just wanted to get that bit in there, because it's very important to me.
I agree. I've been there a couple times.
And it's a hard place. It's
a very hard place.
I thought there was no hope. I could never change anything in my life. This was my mindset, my mentality at the time. And because I couldn't even start the engine, I told myself, well, I can't even do that. I failed here as well. And I failed so much. There's nothing else I can really fail at. I may as well try something different. And I just went in and spoke to my wife. And she's always been incredibly supportive, but she gave me the motivation and basically said, look, I know you're in the mindset you've always been in based on what you've been brought up with, but if you really want to change, then you've just got to try doing something different. You've got to look at the personal development journey. And she tried lots of stuff. She used to put mindfulness books in front of me, and I was like, yeah, whatever. And I wouldn't even read it. It was just where I was.
Right.
I prefer to have a drink and fall asleep watching TV than focus on myself. But it got to the point where I did. I spent quite a few years going through the whole personal development journey, lots of different avenues. And I've been doing cold showers for a couple of years now, different types of breath work, lots of books I've read and documentaries I've watched to help me become more an observer of my thoughts. And just manage kind of how everything's going on. But those things were coping mechanisms. They were helping me to get by, which it was far better than where I was. But it wasn't until I got into the coaching industry and I was coached personally that I actually got access to where the problems were inside of me, where they were stored, to release them. And I'm sure so many people can relate to, the really heavy feelings that you carry around. You may have had lots of sleep at night, but you still feel tired in the morning and everything feels difficult. And I had times like that. And once I shifted those things through coaching, I was like, wow, other people have got to feel this. I just want other people to feel this. I want those guys that are on the edge that think there's no hope, there's no way out, to know that there really is. It doesn't matter where you are on your journey, there is hope.
There is hope. There was, like I mentioned a couple of times being there, one when I was really young and I was just, going through a lot of abuse, but I just remember, and I was still at home at this point, I had downed a lot of pills. I don't even remember what they were. And I got scared and I told my mom, because like you said, I didn't really want to die. I just did not want to feel bad anymore. So that was handled, not in the best of way, but it was handled. And then being to a point where I was on my own. I had 3 kids by myself, and there was a time like I was thinking, geez, maybe I should have just stayed, even though it wasn't the place for me. And that's a long story for another time. But I remember going to the doctor, asking for some kind of help, because I didn't want to get up in the morning to go to work. I didn't want to get my kids ready and get them to school. I didn't want to go to work and do the exact same thing and then come home and, try to entertain, try to make them feel good, try to boost them up, try to be mom and dad, and go to bed and just stress on, oh my God, am I going to have enough money? Am I going to be able to pay the rent? And then get up and do the same thing over and over again. And this doctor was really good. I didn't end up getting the medication, but he just said, he goes, you have got to take care of you first, because no one's cared for if you're not. And that kind of got me into, because I started into personal development in my early 20s, but I'd kind of forgotten about it, just being in just this place where I had to manage all of it by myself. And it was 3 years before I met my now husband that really, helped the rest of the journey of raising kids. Not done yet, but, a good amount of time helping me with that. So I know what it feels like to just feel like, oh my, how am I going to do this? And how am I going to raise these young people to be self-sufficient, feeling good about themselves, with a purpose, I didn't want to clip any wings, like trying to trying to make them be a little bit calm, because I need a break, I need rest, I can't hear the noise, just to have some peace, and I didn't want to stop them from being who they are. I didn't know how I was going to get through it until starting some care and getting people to work with to help me through this. So I know.
It's so important to get that support. And I never wanted to, and it's something I've spoken about in some of the content that I've put out there as well, that I didn't want to go and see a therapist because I didn't want to go and sit down with someone who sat behind a desk that's in a suit. I mean, this was what I was telling myself anyway.
Gotcha.
That doesn't know anything about my life. They don't know what the real world's like, because they've gone to school, they've gone to college, university, they've had it easy, even though I know no one has had it easy now.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm not going to go and do that. So for me, what I'm really passionate about offering, and one of the reasons I wanted to get into the work that I do now, is because I can relate to pretty much anyone. And I think that's really important, to just have someone that you can really build that trust with, because the things you haven't even spoken to your closest family members about, to put the trust in someone to actually, start unlocking those things, to release them and move on and, live a far happier life. There's got to be a lot of trust there. That's why I love having clients come to me, and I can relate to a lot of stuff they've had if they've run businesses and they're struggling to get money from customers or just all these other things. It's just one of those things for me is really important.
Oh yeah. And if you've been through some major things, especially in our line of work, of visibility is scary. I have a new client. He's really scared of visibility and putting himself out. What if they think I'm stupid? What if this, what if that? And that's a lot of what had happened to him before. I know that was the way it is with me. I'm doing this podcast because it scares me. It's scary to be visible. And I wanted to have it professionally produced because least I don't have to worry about that part and messing that up per se. But it's still scary to be live. This is out live. So it's a scary thing. But it's taken a lot of work to be like, yeah, my message is important. I want people to feel just like you do, that they can rise up. They can get above anything. And we, with stories that we have, are relatable. I think therapy is wonderful, but it's past. Us coaching, it's the future. We work on the stuff from the past, and then we dive into what we want to do in the future. It doesn't mean that we don't need any work in there. We definitely do. People to hold us accountable and people to delve in and ask us those questions that we might not even think of ourselves. We need someone else to pull that out. So coaching to me is amazing.
It certainly is.
Yeah. So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk more about, where did you start to begin again? Like, what was that, your wife suggested trying these other things. And at first, okay, the books may not have been that important, but then you start, okay, I do need to make a change. So how did you start changing? So we'll be right back, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome back, everyone, to Transformation with Martine, where we overcome everything and compromise nothing. Today's show is brought to you by my local realtor, Michigan, Andy Alger of Keller Williams Realty. Thank you so much, Andy, for helping bring this show out live. And my guest today is Luke Horsted, and he is a transformational coach for men. And we are talking about his story, what brought him to the world of coaching. So Luke, your wife had given you some books and stuff to look at, and at the time you weren't really interested, but then was there like just like a pivotal moment, like, okay, like for me, when I got diagnosed with cancer, the next day, time to make a change, time to do what my purpose is, which is coaching and podcasting and all that. That's what my pivotal moment. What was yours?
For me, it was when I had got out of the van that night and said, look, enough is enough.
Yeah.
Because before that, she had seen that I wasn't as happy as I could be. I used to get stressed a lot. I wasn't sleeping very much.
Yeah.
So that was the moment where I was like, what else have I got to lose? Like, I can't continue feeling what I'm feeling inside. And it's making me have suicidal thoughts. So what else can I do? I don't want to die. I had two lovely children at the time. One of them was very young. Got three now.
Three's great. I have three.
Yeah, three, and they're all 3 years apart.
Oh, Lordy, yep.
So after that, I tried lots of things. I started listening to some more mindfulness stuff. Started listening to just the impact of the thoughts. That was a really, really big one for me. Just the thoughts that we tell ourselves when things happen, and how we can actually control that ourselves. And when we make the assumption of what something means when someone does a certain thing, is not all the ways the way it is. So for example, if I had a customer that didn't pay me all of the money for some reason or other, I would tell myself it's because they think I'm not very good at my job. Being a man, they think that I won't go and challenge them. I'm a wimp, all of these other things, when without even having a conversation with them, they might not have got paid from their job this month. They might need an extra month to wait until they can pay me because of something that's going on in their life. They may not even realize they've underpaid me. But I was in the place where I couldn't even have those conversations because I told myself, if I start the conversation, I'll become aggressive. And this is what happens with a lot of men. People go, oh, a lot of men are aggressive, especially when they drink. Yeah, it's no surprise, because when all these things happen in our life, we just stuff them down, we bury them really deep. And then when we have a drink and the head's turned off, boom, they just come out as an explosion. And it's, but I stopped myself before the explosion, but by doing that, I led myself to self-sabotage. I attacked myself with my own thoughts, and that's what led me down the path. So when I started to understand that and I become a real observer of my behavior, it sounds really simple, and it's not, but it's so powerful when you can do it. Why am I thinking that? I had someone cut me up when I was driving a few weeks back, and I've got I have my 1-year-old in the car, and normally you get quite, well, as a man, you get very protective. And the guy stopped, and it was his fault, but there was no blaming. He stopped, and he was a tradesman as well, and he started screaming at me. And because I could control what was going in here, the thought wasn't, he thinks I'm this and that. It was, he must be having a really hard time.
Right.
And he drove on by, and nothing showed up in my body. So because I was able to control what went in my head, my body didn't get lit up with a negative emotion that I say negative. It's only negative if you bury it, right. Which typically men do.
Right.
And I did. So that didn't happen. And it's a very, very simple shift that I made that really it helped me to learn and understand what I used to think, who I really am, and just more about me. I stopped just operating on autopilot, and it was more conscious living.
Right, exactly.
So that was one big thing. The big thing was I got into cold showers, ice baths, because of the positive effects it has on your body and also your mind, because you release antidepressant hormones and stuff when you're doing all these exercises. So I went through some courses on that alongside breath work. So the one I did was the Wim Hof method.
Okay.
And it became very apparent to me that people like myself that was jumping into those programs to do those things, they were getting better, but then they had uncontrollable amount of emotion. A lot of them do, and they still do now, because I'm part of communities where everyone helps each other out, and with the Wim Hof method. And it's amazing. You do feel so alive, but when you have unexplained emotions that are just coming up, that's when it's critical to get support with that, because those things have been locked away for so long. If you get a transformational coach come along, someone like yourself or me, when someone's got floods of emotion coming up, it's like, yes, this is it. We haven't even got to search for it. It's there. Right. Let's support you right now, and let's heal it, and let's move forward. Yes. So I've taken these things into my coaching now. Not everyone wants to do the cold exposure for obvious reasons, and that's fine. But I have developed my own set of breathwork techniques alongside my coaching techniques, just to help men to break free from the chains that we've wrapped around our hearts.
Right.
Where all of these things are just, locked away. Because it's very hard to get there for men. We just want to move on quick from things. Nothing bothers us. That was a problem yesterday. Why are you still talking about it? And the reason we do that is because we can't face it.
Or you're not allowed to express it, right?
We don't know how to. I mean, I was taught at a very young age that it's not manly to love anyone.
Oh, wow.
And that was how it was in school. Oh, you love someone. Oh, look at you love someone. And it was that whole kind of playground stuff. But that stuff sticks.
Yeah,
that stays
for
with
sure. Well, I've never I guess I've never heard anybody say that you shouldn't love. I mean, men aren't supposed to express their emotions so much. They're not allowed like women are to cry, to share, to, just like you were saying in the beginning, that men, and especially men in the construction business or anything like that, you've just got to be tough. Got to be those warriors, that nothing gets you down or whatever. But at least like with your wife, I'm sure she was a safe space to express yourself, even if you couldn't express it outside, but you have that safe space to do it. but I've never, like I said, heard that you're not supposed to love anyone. Did your parents teach you that too, or was that something
No, for
else
me, it was
just out in the schoolyard?
just in school. Everyone
Okay.
teased everyone for, well,
Yeah.
just boys, for if you love someone else. Love was a sign
Uh-huh.
of weakness, even though
Okay.
I now know love is one
Yeah.
of the strongest things you can feel. It's actually the driver for everything we do.
Mm-hmm.
And below all of the anger and everything else, everyone just wants to be loved. And if you
Oh,
say that,
yeah.
even if you say that to men, oh, yeah, look, he's really upset 'cause he wants to be loved. They don't
Mm-hmm.
want to hear it. I didn't want to hear it. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
And I probably
Yeah.
couldn't turn up on a construction site and say, look, guys, I know you all want to be loved. Do you want a hug? Because
Yeah.
it
It's
just
not gonna
doesn't,
fly.
it just doesn't work. So there's
Mhm.
different ways to get deeper with guys when they're in communities, or when, you know, we're one-on-one, just trying to break free from some of those things. But all of these, like you know, all of these things from our childhood, they just stick. And when my
Mhm.
wife was supporting me, I didn't even know that the problems I hadn't dealt with even existed still. They were
Mhm.
there. I didn't find that out until we were coaching.
Mhm.
I had a massive fear of speaking, and I thought I knew why. I thought it was when I was in secondary school. I was about 14, and I was reading a book and everyone started laughing at me.
Mhm.
When I was being coached, I found out it was when I was 5 years old.
Mhm.
And what it was, and it wasn't even bad, I was struggling to read a book. I was
Mhm.
5.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
my mum said to me, don't worry. Some of us are better at some things than others. You're better at maths than English.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
a parent being a great parent, she was trying to make me feel as though it's all okay. Don't
Yeah.
worry, don't stress about it, especially at such a young age.
Mhm.
I took that as, I can't read.
Mhm.
And then that led to me not wanting to speak.
Right.
And since
Right.
kind of launching the coaching business, it's been great to just put myself out there and do videos. I wouldn't even put
Mhm.
pictures up of myself eventually, because these things manifest. It starts off as that little thing, and because you don't deal with it,
Yeah.
it just whew. And then when I went back and looked at it, I was like, huh, she really cared. She was just trying
Mhm.
to help me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you don't know. I didn't even know it still existed. So that's why the coaching is so powerful. But you go back, you work on that, and then
Mhm.
boom, you take it forward in your life.
Yes.
It's magical.
It
It
is
really is.
magical. It's absolutely magical. So you're talking about, like, well, actually a couple things. So I had somebody say to me, and I want to say it was in a psychology class. I don't know if it was a teacher or just one of the students, said something like, people are likely to ask to borrow $50 than they are to ask for a hug. I think that's like completely true still, and this was 20 years ago when I was in school. So, yeah, I thought that's always stayed with me. And then also you mentioned breath. I think that is something that we often forget about, because we can't be anxious or stressed or, agitated if we just breathe, if we can just remember to take in that breath, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's so important. There's, I mean, they're not things I've developed; they're things I've learned through my journey. But I've now
Mm-hmm.
got 3 different types of breath work that I use
Mm-hmm.
for different things. If you want to feel energized, this is how you breathe. Very simple.
Yeah.
If you want to just feel, just centered and normal, here's another one.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to go to sleep at night, or you want to calm down, and you actually want to slow your heart down, slow your brain down to get it more relaxed, there's another
Mm-hmm.
type of breath work to do. And they're all
Yeah.
it's breathing. We can all do it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something
Absolutely.
that because we do it unconsciously,
Mm-hmm.
we forget about the importance of it.
Oh, yeah. And if you add in just like taking a deep breath, closing your eyes, even hands over the heart, and just asking yourself what you need at that time, changes well, it can change everything going on, especially if you're driving, obviously you can't do that. But if you are just happen to be, at home and you're worried about something, just taking it just a minute to do that can change the whole level of anxiety or the whole mood or whatever you have going on. Mm-hmm.
It just calms you down from that overwhelm. You can go, that's actually the problem, not these 10 things. It's actually just one of them that's amplifying the rest of them. But until you close your eyes and just take those breaths. But as a man, if I say to a man, just close your eyes, take some breath, just do it. But the reason I got into the Wim Hof method was because it looked incredibly manly.
Okay.
Because he's very tough. He'll go out and sit in the snow. He'll get in an ice bath. I was like, yeah, I can do that. I can be tough. But then I realized very quickly how connected you became after doing it, how you got more alignment between your head and your heart, and how you can just change your state for the good just by breathing in different ways.
For sure. And the whole, I've heard a lot about the whole ice bath, cold showers kind of thing. I will do that once in a while, the shower part, normal shower, and at the last minute hit myself with a blast of cold water. And I do it because I tell myself it's because, I've got red in my hair. It keeps the red strong in my hair by doing that. Or so my daughter says, who does my hair. So I tell myself that, but it really kind of energizes you. At least, it does me, but I'm not about to jump in the icy snow with a swimsuit on, and I'm not about to jump in a cold ice bath, but more power to you.
Yeah, it's great. It is really good.
All right, I'll take your word for it. So we're going to take a break, but Luke, where can everybody find you right now? Your social media handles?
They can find me on Instagram or Facebook. It's all Coach Luke H.
Okay.
That's where I am most of the time at the moment.
And you have a website about to go live?
Yes, the website's about to go live.
All right, that's exciting.
There's lots of stuff going on at the moment. Very exciting stuff. I can talk to you more about that as well.
Okay. All right. We'll be back, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Welcome back, everyone, to Transformation with Martine. This is where we overcome everything and compromise nothing. My show is about hope. And my guest today is Luke Horsted. And we've been talking about men and transformation and breath work and cold showers. Yeah. So Luke, we're going to talk a little bit more about just like jumping into a cold shower, how it can energize you, and I guess I would imagine set the tone for the day, because you're not the only one that I know who does this. So do you want to talk more about that and the benefits?
100%. It's so important. And for me, I moved house about 6 months ago, and I stopped doing it for a month because I was too busy. And I noticed how much of an impact it had on me stopping that morning routine. And the cold showers is a really important thing, and there's different things that work for different people. But starting the day in the right way is the most important thing.
For sure.
And I work with quite a lot of dads now, because what I've found, and even for myself, my life got even more intense when children came along, because there was less time for me and the wife. I actually had to get home on time because I wanted to see the children. And there were sleepless nights. So one of the things that I recommend for dads that are struggling with sleep deprivation, and this is what I do every single day, is when they get up in the morning, it's a very hard choice, but instead of going in for the coffee, first thing in the morning, especially if you suffer from anxiety, coffee is one of the worst things that you could dive into, because it makes your body think, speeds your heart up. It makes your body think that it's actually got to get up and be moving around and doing stuff. And the chances are, if you're up really early, you haven't been sleeping, you're then going to go and sit on the sofa. So you get all this built up energy inside, and it's not actually going anywhere. And that can trigger anxiety. There's probably far more scientific stuff, but I'm not a doctor. I just know
what works for you.
what works for me and a lot of other people as well.
Right.
So if you can get up like I do now and just switch that coffee and just get straight into a cold shower. There are ways to do it. You don't have to go, typically with men, we like to go 100% or 0%. And then we stop it after 2 weeks. But if you can slowly build up to a cold shower, like you said earlier, ending your shower with it being cold, just for 30 seconds, to the point where now I just go straight into a cold shower, 5 minutes every morning. I get out, I feel so good after. And then an hour or 2 hours later, depends on what time the children have got me up, I'll then have a coffee. And for me, it's not, I have the coffee not because I need it, it's because I like it.
Right.
And something that I've learned on this journey is you don't have to give everything up. As long as you don't become dependent on something to get by, to survive, to change your emotional state, then it's not something that's typically bad for you. So yeah, if you can get into a cold shower in the morning, if you are incredibly tired, especially, instead of diving in for a cup of coffee, it will really, really make you feel great. And it's funny, in the moment, you find this with people with diets and everything. If in the moment, too often we choose the thing that's going to make us feel better in that very moment.
Yes.
Could be 10, 20 seconds later after we've had it, we're like, wish I didn't do that.
Yeah. Oh,
whereas if we can switch it and go, I wake up, even this morning, I woke up, I went, no, it's getting too cold. I'm too tired. I'm not getting in a cold shower. I walked downstairs and I walked straight into it. I don't know how it happened. I think once you've been, there's no cheat. You can't have cheat days. That's one thing that's key. If you don't have any cheat days and you do something for 90 days, it's then like brushing your teeth. You can't not do it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how it is for me in my morning walks. It's like, if the wind is really high, I may do treadmill or something inside, some kind of workout inside, but getting outside first thing is what I need. I got to get out there. I got to get in nature. I got to breathe the air. I got to hear the sounds of nature around me. I got to talk to God. That is my time to be out there. If I don't do that, I'm not a happy girl the rest of the day. Yep. And everybody pays the price.
Yeah, it's so true. Starting the day in the right way. And I've referred to it as for myself is overcoming myself at the start of the day. And if I can overcome myself at the start of the day, if I can get in that cold shower at the start of the day, I can take on anything. Whatever's going to come at me in that day, that's fine. Yeah.
Actually, one of our colleagues, she ran a marathon, not so much because she wanted to run a marathon, was the fact that she could say, no matter what comes up in her life, I ran a marathon. Yes. So I can do this too. So I don't want to run a marathon, but I use what she says. Hey, Kathy ran a marathon. I can do this too. Yeah. So what do you do to help men specifically?
So I work with a lot of men that they have problems with mental health. It's not something that men want to lean into because of the word mental health, even though we all say, yeah, men's mental health, let's all talk about it. But I'm fine. That's not me. We all have mental health. And if we get stressed, that's problems with mental health. We need to learn how to deal with those things so that we don't suffer from them later on in life. So I work with people one-on-one remotely, and going live in the next week or two.
Yeah, great job.
There's lots of stuff coming. There's men's groups that I'm doing. They're face-to-face groups, but I'm also going to be doing an online group. One of them going into the new year is going to be the 5 a.m. club. So I'm just a couple of guys. I live by the beach now, so I love the beach. I can get in the sea, cold sea. So one day a week, just meet up with some local guys, let them know I'm going down to the beach, 5 a.m., just to show them how I start the day in a healthy way.
That's great.
even just helping them with some visualizations for, reaching their goals and dreams. Because our work, my work isn't just about if you've got problems, it's what are we going for in the future? Let's not stand still. Let's keep moving. And as men, we like to keep moving. So setting those intentions at the start of the day with some healthy other practices is something I just want to share with some other guys locally. Depending on how that goes, may do that remotely, but if people are in different countries, it might not be 5 a.m. for them.
Right. Yeah. That's
unless they have a replay.
Yeah.
So I've got that, and I've also got a nighttime walk, which is like an 8 p.m. men's walk.
Nice.
Just in 2 areas locally, just for guys that want to get out of the house and become part of a community. As men, we we think we have to lone wolf life. We have to do this alone, and that's not how it is. The more connected we are to other similar people, the more we're going to thrive, the more we feel part of something. So many men feel alone in this world that we live in, especially with everything that's gone on over the past couple of years.
No doubt.
People just feel alone.
Right.
And before since I've joined the coaching community that I'm in, that we're in, I didn't know how you can have these connections remotely and how powerful it is. And I can phone anyone or even drop a message to so many people around the world now and say, can you just listen to me for a bit? Or can you give me a hand with this? And they will.
Yeah.
And it's because we've built that community and those connections. So even if it is remote, that it's so important to have connections with someone else aside from the people that live in your home.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
I think that's really important, because to have a healthy relationship, we have to have a healthy relationship with ourselves. And sometimes that means getting some stuff out.
Yes.
And our partners don't always want to hear that. If they've been at work all day or you've been at work all day, haven't seen each other, you don't, having the first thing you say being, oh my God, I'm feeling like this, that, and the other, isn't always the best thing for a healthy relationship. And that's why these communities around the world are thriving now. And I want to set a couple up locally just to give people the opportunity to come and join that. And then I will be setting an online one up as well, which I'm looking forward to.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it's true too, being in our personal development world, and if our significant other is not, they sometimes just don't want to go there. Or like you said, they've had a rough day at work or whatever. There are times where I've said to my husband, it's like, okay, you got like 10 minutes of, whatever is from work. And then after that, it's probably best that you go to the source of the problem. Go ahead, let me hear it, but then you probably need to figure it out over here. And then, it's the same. Sometimes I know he definitely doesn't want to hear what I have to say either. Maybe just, can you hear me just for a few minutes? Is now okay? If now is not the time, can I have time later? Just make it where it's okay for, both of you, or reach out to a colleague or something. Yeah. Have to respect both boundaries,
Definitely. And it's so important. I think I didn't realize the value of having someone to hold you accountable for moving forward, because we go through these coaching sessions with people and we unlock things, and once you unlock and get the truth of what's really going on, then there's normally action steps to take after that to make sure you fully embody it.
Absolutely.
And having someone that holds you accountable is really important. That being your partner is not the best thing. And the reason I say that is I know that myself anyway. But one of my really good friends, her husband used to be her personal trainer. And he would always hold her accountable. Boom, she would never go off track. Now they're married, he's got that emotional connection. If she looks like she's having a tough time and she needs an accountability partner, he can't be an accountability partner and a husband. So he goes, don't worry, have a night off tonight. Because he cares, because she might need a night off tonight. But that's why it's important, if you are part of a community where you've got other people that are on a similar journey to you, all trying to achieve things. If you're having a tough day, sometimes you just need to hear someone else say, look, you've got this. You can not have that drink.
Yeah.
You can not eat that takeaway that you don't want to eat, or you can keep going. You don't have to quit your job. It'll be fine. You will get the promotion.
Yeah.
Just any of these things. But if you've got that in from someone else, it's far more powerful, in my opinion, and from what I've seen to work.
It is. Well, it's like you're probably not at the age with your kids yet, but I know that I could tell something to, I have a 23-year-old, 21-year-old, and a 17. They're not likely to take something from me as like, oh, mom. But if you or another one of my colleagues or something were to say, hey, you might want to try this, they'll listen. Because mom, even if she's in that world, doesn't really matter. She's mom or dad. But someone else, an impartial person out there, they're more likely to listen.
It's so true. It's so true. I've had it with my son when I've been doing homework with him, and that's my 8-year-old, and he'll challenge me if I'm saying that's not quite right. My teacher said.
Yeah.
And it's good that he will listen to his teacher, and that he's got that relationship with me that's completely different. He learns certain things from me, but if he's being taught something academically by a teacher, he's like, yeah, that's my person who teaches me that stuff every day.
Yeah.
That's cool. They're not you. I can't answer back to them, Dad, but I can answer back to you.
Yeah. That is definitely, the way it is. I mean, I remember being that way. Same thing. Growing up, my parents, I know what's going on. I've got it all figured out at whatever age I was, Yeah. So we're going to take another quick break. And when we come back, let's talk about, I don't know, your best tips to give men that are looking for some support and, willing to ask for support, what you might want to talk to them about. And we'll be back, everyone. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone, to Transformation with Martine, where we overcome everything and compromise nothing. My guest Luke and I have been talking about transformation, men's transformation specifically, and all kinds of techniques for anxiety, for overcoming things, for, so many things. So, Luke, I want to ask you one question, or actually a couple of questions, but one, so say you are getting a cup of coffee at Starbucks or something, and somebody just happens to ask you, like, boy, I need to make some changes in my life. What would you say to them?
So they're saying that to a friend. Yeah, if they're saying it to a friend, it's for me, from what I know now, the best thing to do is to point them in the direction of a professional. And the reason I say that is because a lot of time, the most talked about topic on men's mental health groups and men's groups is issues in their relationship. So most of the time, a man is going to talk to another man about a problem in his relationship. That's what's getting him down. And the friend will be more biased towards his friend. And because if you haven't gone through the work of understanding what words don't serve people, what types of things you could say that could cause them to actually feel worse about themselves or feel more in conflict about what decision I can make, it's not the best way to support someone. I know that now. I didn't know that before. So I personally would point them in the direction of a professional. Now, a lot of men don't want to talk to a professional because they don't know what to say. And for any of those men out there, it's not your job to know what to say. It's our job to know what to ask.
Right.
And I mean, I had anxiety about even phoning up to insure my car when I was 18. So my mum used to do it because I didn't want them to ask a question I didn't know the answer to. And it's very common with men to kind of have that mentality. And I see it a lot on groups. Oh, I've got an appointment with a therapist tomorrow. I'm really scared because I don't know what to say. So if that's your friend, support them through the journey. Just say, look, I'll help you find someone if you want. And just support them with that. Reach out to a coach, have a look at someone that's, if you can find someone that's more specific, then it's really good. That specializes in whatever area they're really suffering in. But they've got to start the journey, and they have to want to start the journey. And if they feel supported by their friend, they're far more likely to begin. And once they begin, the chances are they'll continue. So that's what I would advise. I mean, there's different levels. I probably won't have it ready for the next couple of months, but I'm also developing some self-help tools for people to use, because I know men don't like to be seen initially. And there was some self-help stuff I used, but now I know what I know, I'm able to combine them, and I'm going to create some self-help things for guys to maybe dip their toe in the water there before they become seen. They can do these things in private with no one else knowing.
Right.
And that's something that I didn't have to the degree that I'm going to now deliver. So there's lots of things. If anyone's curious about those further down the line, they can always check in with me and I can let them know how I'm getting on with that. But they will be on my website in the next couple of months.
Excellent.
But also just getting on the phone. If you just want to get on the phone with myself or other coaches, there's not many I know that don't do a free call.
Absolutely.
And the reason we do a free call is so we can assess where you are and where you want to get to.
Yeah.
What have you been through? What are you struggling with? And what's the goals that you want to reach?
Yeah. And if I'm the right one.
Exactly. Do we work? Oh, okay. I mean, there could be some people that come in and I would say to them, do you want to just start in a group where you're seeing other guys sharing what's coming up for them, sharing what's going on? Because as men, if we see someone else go first, we're like, he's just done that. Everyone applauded him for doing what we've told is wrong. I'm going to give that a go because I won't admit this to myself. I want to be loved by them too. So it just depends where you are, what level of support you want. But just get on a call. It's a free call.
Right. Absolutely. Yes. And there's a lot of good people in our community. What would you say, because I know you dabbled a bit here too, what is the best advice you could give a wife her husband is having some struggles? What's the best way she can support him?
Don't give up on him.
Yeah.
A lot of relationships break down because they give up on each other for different things, because women struggle too. Women have their own problems, and there's men that aren't. We take everything personal in relationships. There's so much that we take really personal, and then we can't connect and get to the bottom of the problems. So if you don't take how they're behaving personal, give them hope, maybe put some things in front of them to watch, some self-help videos, or it's very difficult. My wife did this for me. She was putting stuff in front of me for a long time until finally one thing was the thing that I was going to bite on and go, yeah, I'm going to give that a go. That's really, really important.
So what if he says, not good enough the way I am? You got to fix me?
None of us feel good enough. And that's why
Yeah.
even if you look at a lot of bodybuilders,
Mm-hmm.
they are so good at what they do because they don't feel good enough about themselves, and they're trying to overcome that and change it. I mean, if you look at a lot of men's mental health, it's go to the gym, just pump some weights. I agree that's really good, but you've got to do the inner work as well. You've got to do the work in here. This is we neglect what's going on inside so much, and unless we're working on that, then it doesn't matter how big we get, how strong we get, how great our six-pack is. It's just not going to change the way we feel. It will short term, not long term.
Right.
And vice versa. If you change what's going on in your head only, and you don't have any healthy practices, which is unlikely if you've done the inner work.
Right.
But if you did the inner work and then didn't do anything to move your body, then you probably would get to a point where you don't feel great about yourself again, and you need to do more inner work. So it's about doing both of them. It's really, really, really important.
Yeah, I think that two go together. I don't know how it wouldn't even work if you didn't do both together. But I just know that I've heard that a lot of times in relationships, is like, but he thinks I'm trying to fix him if I say this. It's like, I'm not, but I'm trying to get us kind of both on the same page because I'm doing this work. So, and it's kind of like nothing's happening over here, and he thinks I'm going to leave him because I'm doing all these things without him, and it can be a challenge.
It's difficult, and only the person who's struggling with the problem has the ability to step up to want to change it. So even on the men's mental, I'm part of a men's mental health group, and there's 10,000 people on there. And I signed up for a challenge last week. It was a free challenge for, I think it was like 400 men doing this challenge. And it wasn't like intense exercise. It's actually all brain work, looking on your goals and dreams, the future, and just kind of working together to motivate each other. Not one person from that group joined. I did a post and someone else did a post in there. Not one person joined.
Wow.
So if they don't want, and I got really annoyed. It wasn't even my event. I just put it in there because I wanted to help. That's what my mission is to help. But no one joined from that community.
Right.
And I realized that if they don't want to be helped, there's nothing I can do about it.
Right.
So if your husband doesn't want to be helped, I said, don't give up on him. And I mean, don't give up on him.
Yeah.
But only he can make that step. And the importance of him getting in a community. This is why my online community, where we'll meet up for conversations and connecting, will be free, because these guys, if they're going to say no to that, you just need to give them the space and time until they come around to it.
Right. I agree. That's what I've often told clients of mine. I coach mainly women, but I have some men now. And I will say, it's just give him time. Look at the little boy inside. He just wants you to love him. It just like you want to be loved. It's the same thing. Just give him some time. He will come around. And depending upon what their beliefs are, spiritual beliefs, pray about it. Talk to other people about it. Surround him in light, whatever it is that works for you. He's worth fighting for. You loved him at one point here. So keep going, Yeah.
And when he does take that step, he'll be changed forever.
Yeah. I like that. That's really good. So is there, as we're putting the final touches on the show here, is there anything else you want to impart or anything else you want to say? And then please share your handles again for social media.
The message is just, if you haven't spoken to me or another coach and you're on the edge, then there is still hope. It's there. And there's nothing that's bad enough that if you find the right person, they can't help with, because they can help.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So don't give up. How you're feeling at this moment in time can be changed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So one more time, where can they find you?
Instagram and Facebook, just Coach Luke H, or Luke Horsted on Facebook. I've got the business account and the personal account on there. And the email address, if they want to send me an email, is coachlukeh@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
And the website, coachlukeh.com. So all very simple, and yeah, feel free to drop me a message if you need any guidance.
Yeah, simple and easy to find. Thank you so much, Luke. I really appreciate you coming on the show today very much. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I hope that you have a wonderful, beautiful, magnificent Christmas and holiday season. And again, thank you so much for joining us, and see you the following Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Transformation with Martine. Did listening today spark a sense of hope and possibility? Hold on to this feeling and tune in every second and fourth Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific for more inspiring conversations with Martine and her guests. They will show you there is hope, and you are right where you need to be. Martine is dedicated to supporting you right where you are, while launching you towards promise, passion, and possibility that leads to the fulfilled life your heart aches for. If you're tired of being stuck, schedule a complimentary consultation with Martine and get on the exciting path towards the life you want to be living. Visit martineemmons.com and make your appointment today.